Welcome to the Stock Boy Gaming channel. Today we're going to be looking at the Sultan RS Classic. We can test it at the Los Santos car meet test track. That's exactly what we're going to be doing, and if you didn't see my last video, we predicted the performance of the Growler and it went pretty well. But you don't have to just take it from me, here's the proof. In parentheses in that little graphic on top, those are the times I guessed next to the times that actually happened. So we can see I was really only about 3 to 2/10 off on these predictions. And I think we can get better. So how are we going to get more accurate this time? Well, we've tested more stock cars on the track. Like you see here, we've got the new Sultan RS on the right, the Vectre on the left. We're testing them at the LS car meet test track, not my test track, because I don't use mods. I can't get these cars on my test track. But what I can do is look at their performance here against each other, see based on this stock lap time and the modified lap time for the cars that I can test that are modified, that have been released, how much do those cars improve on this track? I can use that and then look at my test track. And then I'm also going to actually predict some drag times in this video, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that a little bit later. But first impressions on the Sultan RS. It seems pretty good. It seems kind of similar to the Calico. It's got good acceleration. That's why I wanted to add some drag testing in here. But you can see it's keeping up with the Vectre pretty well. And the Vectre, if you watch my last video, stock is really good here. So just barely beats the Vectre to the start-finish line. Then we're going to take on the Growler. So the Growler is the fastest stock car from the tuner's update on this track that I've tested. And it handles really well. One thing about the Sultan RS, it also handles well. It does. It handles really well. I don't know if I agree that it's going to be amazing. The Growler I felt was going to be amazing. The Sultan RS Classic, it just feels like there's something missing. But that's why we're testing. We're going to see if I'm right, if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Who knows? The tests will give us a decent idea. But you can see it's hanging with the Growler. It's really just right there with the Growler up until about this point where it gets a little more technical and the Growler's handling just rips through that little chicane and this final corner. The Sultan RS Classic can't quite keep up, and then you see the Growler actually pulls ahead by quite a lot. So we know the Growler is going to handle better, but now what we have are stock times for all three of these cars. And based on this, we can see that the Sultan RS Classic looks like it's actually going to be a little quicker than the Vectre around the track, slower than the Growler. Things for the RS Classic look pretty good. Now I have a bunch of modified times on this track, and I'm not going to show all the modified cars going around, but we're going to take those into consideration and see how much faster the car gets around the track on average when it's modified. You can see there the Growler is about 4 seconds faster, 4.29 for the Vectre. Well, taking all of my modified car tests on this track into account, the median is 4.28 seconds. So that's what we're going to look at. We're going to assume that the Sultan RS Classic is going to improve by 4.28 seconds, which means its lap time here should be about a 55.17. But I said I wanted to add more in the prediction this time around, and I didn't lie to you. We're going to do it with some weird drag racing. The car seems like it accelerates really well, meaning the Sultan RS Classic on the left, and you can see here it's faster than a Growler from a standing start. And going to my makeshift finish line, it'll beat it as well. But the king of acceleration from the tuner's update is the Calico GTF. Is the Sultan RS Classic going to be as fast as the Calico GTF? It sure doesn't look like it. So to the start finish line, it loses, and it loses to my little makeshift finish line as well. What does that tell us? Well, the car was actually exactly in between the Calico GTF and Growler as far as the time it took to get to my little makeshift finish line. So we know it likely will be about halfway for the quarter mile as well. Kind of neat, huh? So we know that it's going to be quick, we know that it's going to handle well, but it's not going to be as quick in a straight line as the Calico GTF. So all this information is going to be used for my Stock Boy speed score, which you've already seen for the Growler and the Vectre. The Sultan RS Classic, it looks like will be about a 90.14 on the speed score. If you're not familiar with the speed score, I'll put a card up there for you so you can check it out. It's a Forza style score that takes speed, acceleration, and handling all into consideration. 90.14 is really good, so what will that mean for the tuners class? Well, the Calico GTF, if that's accurate, will actually drop down to being the third fastest car in the tuners as far as overall performance goes. The Sultan RS Classic will then take the second spot with its 90.14. Really good acceleration plus better handling than the Calico should mean that it could win you quite a few races. And then at the very top, we still have the Pfister Growler that just has some unbelievable handling. If you can control your throttle, it's a great car. And again, you'll see in parentheses next to the Growler's times the difference between my last prediction and how it actually turned out. Hopefully you guys find this video helpful. I think this is a pretty accurate way to predict how fast a car is going to be. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I got a lot more content coming. I really appreciate the support. Thanks for joining. I hope to see you next time.